Ladies, gentlemen, Speakerhead Squad, what is going on? It is your boy Speakerhead, and welcome back to another video. When it came to the G1 Decepticons, there were a lot of interesting and cool characters among their ranks. Whether it be Reflector, where 3 robots made 1 camera, Soundwave with all his cassette minions, or even Starscream and all the other different colored Seekers. All of them were really cool and interesting in their own ways, but there was always one character that stood out from all of them, and that's mainly because he stuck with his Cybertronian mode. And that character I'm talking about is going to be Shockwave. Now, even though I thought this character was cool, I personally thought there was a lot of other cool characters in the show. But once I got my hands on the Newage version, my mind completely changed on this character. Seriously, this one figure made me go from not really caring about Shockwave to making him my most frequently pulled off the shelf figure. But today we're going to be taking a look at Newage Shockwave. Now roll that intro. But before we get into this review, if you enjoy any of this sort of content, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Also a reminder that 1 like equals 1 pat for my little buddy Doug here. Say hi, Doug. Also, if you enjoy any of the music in this video or just want to support the channel in general, it's all part of my royalty-free music label, Speakerhead Studios. All the music on this label is completely royalty-free, so go ahead and use it for any of your content creating needs. Finally, I want to mention if you want to catch me live, I do stream over at Speakerhead Live on YouTube. But now that we got all that out of the way, let's get into the review. So to start off, let's talk about accessories. So this guy comes with a few different accessories. To start off, he comes with a salute hand from that one episode that he saluted, I guess. Then he also comes with a mini version of himself in case you want another figure to hold him or if you want to do that thing from that one episode. Then the final accessories he's going to come with are personally my favorite. And this is going to be a stand and a little adapter you put the alt mode on. And I'll show it off more when I'm talking about the alt mode, but I absolutely love this accessory. But now that we talked about this figure's accessories, let's move on to the actual figure. And to start off, we're going to talk about Sculpt. Now when it comes to the sculpt of Newage Shockwave, I absolutely love it. I think Newage absolutely nailed the sculpt of this guy, and they gave him a bit more of a heroic look, which I also really love. Looking at the head sculpt, it's pretty much perfect. Honestly, the only thing I can complain about is that they use light piping for the eye. I will admit if there's no lighting behind the figure, the eye does look kinda dead. But I will say with my day-to-day use with the figure, it overall looks fantastic in normal lighting. So if you just have it on your desk or something, it'll look great. Talking about the sculpt on his chest, this is probably one of the 2 main things that people point out when they're talking about this figure. Some people would rather have that upper chest be plain, but I personally like how they added a little bit of detail in there. Personally, it makes the figure a bit more unique to look at. On top of that, the Takara Masterpiece also has that detail in the chest, so that's why I also like it. But the overall torso is great, and they give it a little bit more heroic proportions, so I think it looks much better. Talking about his right arm, there's nothing crazy about it, it's just your regular arm. But now talking about his left with his cannon, this is where some people have some complaints. Some people don't like the translucent purple they used for his cannon, but I personally have grown to love it. I think it makes the figure look a bit more unique and a little bit more Cybertronian. Now something else to talk about is the hose on his arm. I like the material that they use and it doesn't feel like it's gonna break anytime soon. Then on top of that, you don't have to take off the hose while transforming the figure, which I really enjoy. Now moving on to the lower torso and legs, once again I think Newage absolutely nailed the sculpt. The sculpt on the torso and the legs are great, and there isn't any sort of gaps in the legs, which are also nice. Now finally, Ending Sculpt will do a 360 of this figure, and I gotta say that I really love how they cleaned up this figure. He looks fantastic no matter what angle you have him in. But now that we talked about the sculpt, let's talk about the paint of this figure. Once again, Newage did an excellent job painting this figure from head to toe. So to start off, all the purples on his body are completely painted. Talking about his head, his antennas are painted in nice gray. Moving on to his chest, he doesn't have any sort of extra paint details besides that nice purple we already talked about. Same goes for his arms. Moving down to his legs, once again they're painted that nice purple, but they also have some nice silver painted on the sides, which looks nice and stands out from the rest of the gray plastic on the figure. But overall, the paint job on this guy is fantastic, just like every other Newage figure. So now we're done talking about paint, let's talk about posability. When it comes to the posability of this figure, this is where he sadly lacks a little bit. Starting with his head, it's on a ball joint that's at the center of his head, so he can't really look up too much. However, his head is able to go 360 and you are able to get a little bit of a confused Shockwave look. Moving down to his arms, they're on ball pegs that can get you a full 360 range of motion out to the side and all the way around. Moving down on the arms, it does have an upper arm rotation. Then it has an elbow bend that gets you slightly more than 90 degrees. And this is the same with both arms. Moving down to his chest, he does have an excellent ab crunch and a waist swivel. Moving to the upper legs, they can go all the way forward. Then you are able to move the legs all the way back, but you need to move the side skirt out of the way first. And then he's also able to move his leg out to the side a full 90 degrees. Moving down to the knee, it only has a 90-degree ankle bend. which is unfortunate because with this figure you're unable to get any sort of kneeling pose. Finally, moving down to the feet, he does have a toe tilt up. Then he doesn't have an ankle pivot, but he does have a toe pivot, which works just as well. Overall, the posability on this guy isn't terrible, but I wish there were a few things that were a little better, such as his head being able to get a little bit more articulation and those knees having a little bit more than 90 degrees. But now that we're done talking about posability, let's talk about the transformation of this figure. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to transformation for this figure is how clever it is what they did with the backpack. Most Shockwave figures use the barrel of his alt mode cannon as backpack, but Newage decided to do something different. Instead of having the front barrel as a backpack, they decided to tuck it inside of his chest and then have some panels cover it up. I thought this was super clever, and it's so much more fun to transform him than the other figures. And then in robot mode, it just cleans up so much better. But then just talking about the overall transformation of this guy, it's nothing crazy from your regular Shockwave figure. Yes, there are a few things that are different about the transformation, but overall it's pretty standard. And the transformation is honestly one of the reasons why I really love this figure. The transformation is so fun and easy, and I haven't had any sort of issues anytime transforming this figure. I just love keeping this guy on my desk and flipping him from robot mode to alt mode. It's just so simple to do, and I can do it quick, so overall I absolutely love the transformation on this guy. Then just like most other G1 Shockwave figures, they absolutely nail his alt mode. Talking about his alt mode now, as I stated before, I think Newage absolutely nailed this. I think it's a great representation of Shockwave's blaster. Then I also love the little display stand and attachment they include because that really just adds to it. This is one of the main reasons why I love keeping this guy as a desk spot, because I'll keep him in this alt mode and put him on that stand and he just looks fantastic. Then this is one of the few legend scale figures that I think you could honestly display on its own and it would look fantastic in this mode. I'd say my only complaint about this guy is that he doesn't have any sort of trigger you can pull, but that's fine. Besides that one little nitpick, I think Newage absolutely nailed this figure. Now moving on to my final thoughts, I think once again Newage absolutely nailed this figure. They did a fantastic job on the sculpt, the paint job is as beautiful as ever, and the transformation is clever and fun. And like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of Shockwave before getting this figure, but after owning this figure, he is my most frequently pulled off the shelf legend scale figure. And then Newage's quality is fantastic as always, so if you've ever owned a Newage figure, you know exactly how these guys feel and you know there's no sort of issues with them. But when it comes to my recommendation for this figure, all I can say is definitely go get this guy because you will not regret it. He's such a fantastic figure to own, and if you're not a huge fan of the Decepticons, specifically Shockwave, you'll definitely become a fan after owning him. But those are my overall thoughts on this Newage Shockwave, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know if you already own this version of Shockwave or if you plan on picking him up. Also, once again, if you enjoyed any of this sort of content, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out. And then once again, friendly reminder that one like equals one pat for my little buddy Doug. Finally, once again, if you enjoyed any of the music in this video or just want to support the channel in general, it's all part of my royalty-free music label, Speakerhead Studios, link in description. But that's going to be it for me, guys. I appreciate you checking out the video, and I'll catch all y'all in the next one. Peace.